Good morning, friends. Welcome to the ZiaWoolz StudioBuzz podcast, episode 30. This is a podcast where I talk about yarn, about spinning, knitting, sometimes crochet, and other fun stuff. And my name is Duck, and I am coming to you from Albuquerque in the beautiful desert where I live with my family. Okay, let's jump right in because I am up to some super duper fun. I'm heading out this weekend on a trip to Winslow with my local yarn friends and some out-of-towners. We are going there by train, and I don't know if you've watched this podcast for a while, you may remember that I did the same thing last year. This year it's a little bit different. I am excited to bring a pop-up shop. So I will be vending a little bit and yeah, so super fun. Lots of knitting, lots of yarn, and yeah, let's jump right into what this is all about. I have brought everything, of course. I hope I didn't forget anything close to me here. But I wanted to start with the giveaway that I have for the Penny Pearls pullover by Vicky of Tavixta Design. Penny Pearls pullover. That was a thread in the ZiaWoolz group, and I have the entries right here, and I will draw a winner. And Vicky ever so nicely offered to send the winner a free pattern off, so you guys can knit her sweater. And the winner is, this is your not Instagram, your Ravelry name, Grimillo. So I will, if you could get in touch with me, but I think I'm also gonna send you a message on Ravelry and get so that Vicky can get in touch with you and send you your pattern. Thank you for participating in this giveaway. Okay, I don't even know where to start here. Can you tell? It's crazy. And this is this is what's going on in my head. Actually, I brought a list that I made last week because I was trying to sort my brain a little bit by writing all the things up. Then I ran out of space and I decided this doesn't help me at all. It's like, finish my uni, frog the shawl, finish the other shawl, finish the sweater. Ha, done that. Yes, all kinds of nice stuff that I wanted to do. And then as I was getting to the next page, doing, oopsie, nothing on there. Yes, but I finished the sweater, and let's just start with that. Actually, let's start with a hat that I finished. I did finish another 2 items. I finished a hat for my daughter, and I have sent her off with her hat because she's going to Michigan. She actually left super early this morning. I took a plane, and because it was so crazy cold, I wanted to make her a warm hat. And actually I tried to finish another one, but I'll show you later. But the one that I finished, I only took a picture of it on myself, and now I can't take one on her. I hope she's going to send me a picture, but I'm going to put in a picture here for you so you get the idea. And I had a matching pom-pom, and I had super soft yarn, and so she will not freeze to death in the polar vortex. Actually, it's not as bad as it was, so thankfully she was so worried about the cold, because we're not, I mean, we get cold here, but we're really not used to it. Not that kind of cold, seriously. I don't even think our kids have ever experienced really, really cold. Well, okay. We'll see what she says. So that was the hat. The other thing that I finished is the sweater for my son. And you may remember the epic fail from last week. This beautiful object of art. And I had, after that, I think I had started his sweater, and it turned out that I could use 6mm needles. So I went down one needle size from the felted first version, and I decided not to put a pattern in because I thought that he did not like that too much. So I thought, oh, whatever, let's not stretch his love to the max. Let's just make him a sweater the way he wanted it, with wide stripes. Can you see? It's really nice. So this is Barocco Vintage Chunky. And initially, when I had contemplated using just the standard Barocco Vintage and holding it double, but then this time when I went to the yarn store to actually purchase yarn, I found the Chunky, and I thought this is just a great way to make a warm sweater and have it, you know, not too warm. And they had nice colors too, and he asked for blue and gray stripes, so that's a good color. What I did is I knitted this top down with a raglan where I made up the stitch count. And if you look at patterns, for example, I've made the Daylin for myself, a pattern by Isabel Kramer. If you look at stitch counts of a woman version sweater versus a guy version, especially in the Daylin pattern, you can tell that the stitch count of sleeves versus body is very different on the women's versus guys, and because for women you have a much slimmer sleeve, because that's just the fashion right now. I don't know, maybe it looks better on us, I don't know, that's just what we like right now. And for a guy you wouldn't want that, so the sleeves are wider and the stitch count is almost half of the sweater width. So I figured that out in my cast on, and what I initially did is I made a twisted rib where I knitted where the knit stitch is knitted twisted. What I mean is through the back loop. And so I did that, and I think I did it. Oh yes, I did it on the bottom, and I did it on one of the sleeves. And then my son tried on the sweater a couple of times in between for length and all, and to see if the whole length would work, because as you see, I wouldn't have wanted to make it longer and start another blue stripe just for a few rows. So that was a little bit of a challenge, but I think it worked out the way it is. I think the blue on top as well as the gray on the bottom. Those stripes are a little bit wider, but visually it doesn't bother you or me or anybody or him. And so, but when he put on the sweater, I noticed that with the twisted rib, it really does not have this pulling together effect that a normal rib gives you. And it was so interesting to me because I even ended up knitting a small swatch and trying it, and you could totally tell the normal knit and purl was pulling together much more than the twisted rib. So once he pulled it over his head and he kind of adjusted, he had a neckline almost like this again. Whereas, so do you notice something? Remember what I did with that first sweater? The neckline was huge. Actually, it was probably a combination of twisted rib and the yarn that got so big in the wash that just overall got bigger. And that's why I put it in the dryer if you haven't watched. And that's when it came out the way it did. Okay, but back to this guy. So this was very, very interesting to me. You're gonna say, wait, you knitted this top down and you said you messed up and you were done with one sleeve and the bottom, and then how can you have a knit purl ribbing? Yes. Well, at first I knitted the whole sweater. I finished everything, but I had a plan. So I frogged one cuff and the bottom ribbing, and I did the knit purl, switched to this. And then when I was done with everything except of weaving in the ends, I went and did my neck ribbing surgery. So what I did, okay, how can I explain? This is going to be a little tough, so be patient with me. You know that when you look at knitted fabric, you have the stitches that come from the bottom have almost like a corresponding stitch that comes from the top. And that's how we do grafting. Like some people close their toes on socks. You go in between the loops that come together. Well, the toes are not such a good example, but if you have no, it's kind of like similar, but you can't really compare it because you can literally take out a row of stitches in a knitted fabric and have live stitches coming from the top and from the bottom. So that was my goal. I wanted to do that. Take out the row just above, just where the rib, well, ended, in this case, starts, and then have the live stitches and re-knit this. You see I was successful, but I'm going to tell you what I did to make it a little bit easier for me. I took a quite thin circular needle and picked up the loops that I saw were coming up here. I put them one by one on a needle, and then I wanted to take out a row in the middle, but it didn't work. And the problem was, again, the stupid twisted knitting, the twisted stitch, that made it very hard. In the end, what I did, and that was very, very dangerous, as I realized later, I literally cut right here, because even undoing the stitches to come to that edge here would have been hard, as I realized. So I wanted to cut close to this edge to not have to mess with it too much. And boy, a few times I barely missed the real stitch without even realizing how close I was. So I had a lot of like little bits, and I had to still go in with a needle and undo my stitches and whatnot. But I did it, and I could then knit up a regular ribbing from my live stitches. And in fact, to have the next neckline closed a little bit more. So what I did was, these are 6mm needles that I used on the body for the ribbing everywhere on the sweater. I switched to 5.5mm, so one size lower. And but the way I do the cast off, and it's because I knew I didn't want to, I didn't want a stretchy cast off. I just wanted to do a regular bind off. But I have found over time that sometimes I get, if I just do it with the needle size that I'm using, my stitches get a little bit wonky on top, especially if I try to be not too tight. So what I do now is, for casting off that last row, I use again the one size larger needle. I use that in my right hand. So I knit the 2 stitches with 6mm in this case, and then I knit them tightly while I cast off. And that works to, once he wears this, it lays super nicely, as you can probably see. Otherwise, I kept the stitch count, except for here in the back, right by this was my beginning of the round, as you can see. So right by the raglan here and there, I decreased 1 stitch just to make sure, just in case. So 1 sweater done. That was fast. That was about 2.5 weeks, I think. And just yesterday I wove in all the ends, and he was really super happy about getting his sweater. I think he deserved this. First sweater that I've made for him as an adult. He's 19, so that's great. Now moving on to what I've been working on. You can tell I've been quite monogamous. The hat for my daughter, because it was so bulky and I made it with 10mm needles, that was done probably in 3 hours yesterday. It's a strain for the hands with the big needles, but 40 stitches, that's quick success. And like I said, I had the matching pom-pom, so that was super cute. Quickly, I wanted to show you what I intended to make for her, but I knew this was going to need a rinse. I don't even know what I was thinking. So I wanted to make this yesterday, and I might have been successful, but let me tell you about the problem. It's a beautiful, beautiful color, blackish blue. Exactly what she wanted. But there were 2 things wrong with this. So initially she asked for a black hat, and I said, okay, I will dye yarn for you. I'll use ZiaWoolz. And I did it, and it had a hint of purple, as can happen with black. So she complained about that. And then a few days later, or a week or 2 later, it was a good bit later, she said, Mom, or could you rather make me a very, very dark blue? I said, sure. Then she said, but can you make it more even? I said, no, sorry, honey. If I dye yarn for you, you get all the beauty of hand-dyed, and you get the little variation. There is no such thing as avoiding the variation. I don't even know if I could. I buy yarn if I want solid. kid, seriously. So I did this, and to hurry, to speed up the process, I don't think I rinsed this enough. I mean, was to be expected, that because it's such a saturated color. And really, I could tell on my finger where the yarn went that it gave off some of this very dark color. So I knew it would need a good wash. And yeah, so I also knew that it wouldn't get done in time for her. It wouldn't get dry in time for her to take it on her trip. So I gave up on this idea. I will finish it, but she got her other hat now for the trip. So, so what's next? Oh yes, I was really, really monogamous, guys. Are you gonna believe that? Really, I swear. Honestly, I know it's hard to believe. So I did the sweater, and the other thing that I was working on is the shawl for the knit along that we have going currently. And that is the 2+ shawl cowl. It's going in the ZiaWoolz group right now. And I am this far. It's a shawlette. I am making the White Out by Melanie Berg. And the initial plan was to combine my Alaskan Kiviot and the other Alaskan yarn that I brought from a vacation and combine them. Use this for the lace and this as combine it with this. And this is how the shawl looks like, in case you haven't seen it. Sorry, I don't want to be too noisy here. So the lace is going to be orange. Now what happened when I looked at the instructions closely and I started reading, I realized that my Kiviot wouldn't be enough. So I thought, well, I have all this lace yarn. I had never knitted with my own lace yarn, except for, well, that was one exception, not too long ago. But I thought, well, now, okay, I can knit my own lace. I will dye up something that works, because you saw there's stripes, and that's what eats up orange, too much orange. So I thought, I'm gonna dye orange, and yeah, it works well together because this hint is in there, even though you can't, it looks quite different now when I see it in the camera. Okay, so, but now I'm not quite sure if I will really use my Kiviot, and the reason is that I have so much of this, and I have, where I am right now is, I'm at a stitch count of about 200, and I need to get to about 230. That's why I put all these markers in, because I keep counting, and then I'm like, oh, really? Am I still not there? Am I still not there? So this is where I was. Wow. This is where I was last time. So I really had only started. I was here. And what's this marker? My cute New Mexico marker by Melissa, Knitty by Nature. Thank you. That's where I decided to help myself out, because I felt like this is just not growing. That's how it felt like, you know. endlessly the same thing. And so I thought what I'm going to do is I'm just going to put in a marker so I see how much I get done. And really, like in an evening of knitting, I get almost 2 inches. Even if I start late in the day, you know? Yeah, so that's great. And I know my stitch count. I wrote down my stitch count from where I am right now, so I can do the math to where I need to be to start the lace. And then I will decide if I'm going to do it with this. But honestly, I'm thinking I'm probably going to go with this one and not the Kiviot. It just will have to wait then for another project. It would be such a waste not to use up this since I really have the yardage. So this will go on the train with me tomorrow to go to Winslow, Arizona. I have, what else? Oh yes, Happalicious. I was talking about this last time already, and I just could not for the life of me remember if I had already shown you this book, if it had come in or not. I had a pattern that I was thinking about using for a hat that I would like to knit for the baby of friends of mine, very good friends. And so I thought, wow, I can work with this book and I can make up my own hat. Yes, you know where this is going, right? I am ridiculous. I have a humongous list of things to do, but yet I think, yes, I will design a hat, even though I have never ever knitted anything like this. But goodness, people, have you looked up pictures? Look this up. Google Hap. And Kate Davies, actually, she has a bunch of gorgeous pictures of Haps in stretchers. There is, I mean, I want to cover the house in Haps on stretchers because that looks so beautiful. It's my dream to one day knit a Hap, to build a stretcher, and then take pictures in our desert here. Is it going to happen? Who knows? Maybe if my son becomes a woodworker, I could put him on that, and that would make it a little bit more realistic. In the meantime, we will just see and focus on the Hap because there will be a baby in March and it needs a beautiful Hap to cover up with. So now I have this basket here. Ooh, crinkle, crinkle, ruffle. I'm looking for something and I found it. So one day I actually, sorry, I think I'm shaking the camera here when I put something on the table. So one evening I sat down and grabbed some yarn and tried to work. But I am lazy. You know me and my stamp size swatches, right? So, but at least I made a mini Hap. Look at that. My pattern. And I started writing it up. I don't know if it's good because I probably should have picked wool to be able to really block it then. Also, I ran out of my sample yarn. And so I cannot even tell if I did things right or not. And I did this in stockinette because the book says if you have a heavier yarn, you should do the center in stockinette. Okay, I got tired of this and I thought, this is not working out. I don't have the brain space. I need and the time to design a Hap. And that's not, I mean, you know all the reasons why I shouldn't be doing this. So the next day, I'm like, whatever. I'm just gonna go on Ravelry and buy the Hap pattern by Kate Davies. I did that, and it turned out that her, well, I was thinking I don't need too much of a lace edging, but it turned out, so that would be easy. I mean, you just cast off whenever you're done with what you do or when you run out of yarn or whatever. But the Kate Davies one, you can't modify, because guess what? It is knitted from the outside to the inside. Amazing how she does it, but I I knew that was not possible. It's too much, too big. I wouldn't know if I had enough yarn, and yeah. So then also the other pattern that I had already purchased that I had shown you, has a zigzag lace pattern on the outside. I was not so sure about that, and I thought, I would love a more traditional hat. So this is what I ended up getting. And probably half the world knows this pattern, right? It's the Hansel. Probably we would say Hänsel in German. The Hansel by Gudrun Johnson. Yeah, I think it was also that picture that did me in, honestly. So because I want to take this on the train trip to the knitting retreat, I cast on last night and started on this corner. It's amazing. I just adore this so much. I did not expect to fall in love with it so much. Even more since I was a little bit opposed to the diagonal, but it's fine. Now let me talk a little bit about the yarn and my needles. These are 5mm needles. And it's really interesting because she asks for fingering yarn. But I mean, what I'm using is a little bit heavier. This is it. And it is beautiful Cormo, which I purchased in Maryland last year at the Maryland Sheep and Wool Festival. It is from Ensign Brook Farm. Cormo, DK weight. I have 4 skeins. And I'm not sure if I'm going to need all of these. And I got this one for the edge, which is a discontinued ZiaWoolz, which I over dyed to use it, hopefully for something baby. And I think it looks super nice. I also had a green, but then I spun some yarn and I thought the hand spun color is a little more mellow and toned down and a better value than the one that I had originally picked. And these two, if you look closely, there is a hint of a soft brown in the hand spun, which is Rambouillet, local New Mexican Rambouillet. And this one also has that hint of brown. So I'm excited to keep going on this one. I think this is going to see some good progress on the trip. Started that yesterday. What's next? Yes. Oh, yesterday was so fun. One of my German Instagram friends, a few years ago, she fell in love with my hand knit mittens. You know, I always make so many, and I published the pattern for those in around Thanksgiving Day. If you're interested, it's a free pattern on Ravelry, the Duke City Mitts. And now this friend from Germany, this Instagram friend, she got in touch with me. She sends me a message and writes, do you still make fingerless mitts? Mine are now shredded. So she sent me a picture, and I don't even know how many years it's been, but she has a dog. So here she walks her dog, and she works for the forest. Goodness, I don't know. She's the term in German is she's a Jäger. She's a huntswoman, hunter. But it involves so much more than hunting animals. It's kind of you observe the wildlife and keep track of them and take down sick animals. I think really that's my simple idea of what her job is. But that's why she needs her fingerless mitts to be kind of like toned down in color, maybe dark green, because that's traditionally what she wears when she's on the job. So I dug up some yarn for her because I found she wanted two pairs, one for a friend and one for a new pair for herself. Did I even say that? Yes. No, I don't think I did not. So she would like a new pair of mitts. And I went stash diving and found some really, really nice yarns. Some of them have been in my stash forever, and I really personally like the hand spun so very much for the fingerless mitts. That's what I have. I mean, I've made them with different yarns, commercial, hand dyed and whatnot, but I can't wait to knit with this yarn. After I had dyed this and spun this, this is one of my favorite dark colorways that I have ever dyed and spun. And this is also a New Mexican Rambouillet. And I had two skeins of this, and one I'm keeping for myself and one is for her mitts. You're going to say, it's not green. It still screams hunter to me. Yeah, woods and all that good stuff. The other pair she's getting for a friend who also, I think her friend does the same thing that she does. So I picked this colorway. Two skeins of this. I'm probably gonna have, oh, this, by the way, this is from a bat, which was made from wool and alpaca and I think bits of silk, like that purple. I don't know if you can see that. So, and this is the other colorway that I picked. So that's another thing that I bring in on the trip, making more Duke City mitts. And what's next? Today is Valentine's Day, so my baby is gonna get another pair of double knit socks. And one of the yarns will be this one, and Jessie, you may remember it. This was a gift from a friend, from a very dear friend. It's a Mountain Colors yarn from Montana. And I have picked a bunch of little leftover balls to combine and let run together. So stay tuned for how this turns out. I have today a German podcaster is starting a Valentine's knit along for where you it's a Valentine's cast on, where you cast on something for a loved one. Of course, I will have to do this today, or if it doesn't happen today, it will happen tomorrow. Because another thing that I would like go before I go on the trip is to give the lace shawl for my mom another go. Oh my goodness. And if you have never seen these, Melody's Designs Pattern Keeper. I haven't used it in this case. Haven't set it up yet, but here's my pattern. It is called Sun Showers. Now I'm trying to find a picture. Sun Showers by Boo Knits. I want to make this for Mima May, my mom. I had already started this and it turned out that she already had a shawl in that color, in that exact purple, made by me. What was I thinking? So then I thought I'm gonna try this green. It is ZiaWoolz Desert Willow. It's a 100% non-superwash merino yarn. And can't wait to try this. I would like to start it while I'm still at home. I have my big basket here next to me with my goodies. That's why I'm peeking over here at the other things. You know, I'm up to baby knits, and I was probably telling you about the hat that I plan to make for my friend's baby. And I was out where I store stuff from the kids, and all of a sudden it caught the hat that I had made for Fiona caught my eye, and I thought, I gotta get this down and so I can show you. And it is so almost ratty, even though I washed it after I pulled it out. It's 100% silk, and the fiber was dyed and gifted to me by a friend that I used to buy fibers from. So, and I wanted to spin some yarn, but I think I'm just going to use this. It's a one-of-a-kind ZiaWoolz Roadrunner, very baby, rosy. I think it'll work great. And in case I have the time to make a garment, I pulled out this, which was knitted by my mother and worn by my daughter. 3 buttons on the shoulder, and I remember this fitting very well. This has been in the box for many years, and something ate the sweater. So I will have to find something complementing to fix it, and then I will probably stick it in a Ziploc bag and before I put it back in the baby bin. I will bring the hat on the trip too. Oh, by the way, we're not going home right away after the retreat. You're gonna think, is she crazy? 1 pair of socks, 1 shawl, 1 hat, 1 lace shawl, 1 baby hat. No, I'm not that crazy. We're going on a little road trip afterwards. So I do have knitting done more than I initially mentioned. So I have dyed up, because I'm doing a pop-up shop, I have dyed up a lot of yarns, and then I'm cruising Ravelry, and what is this Hochi Locatelli, Miss Locatelli thinking? She comes out with a beautiful pattern. Have you seen this? If you have not seen this, go close this, shut down YouTube, go to Ravelry and look up her latest pattern. Be Still My Heart. For one, it's a gorgeous pattern, as we know all of her patterns are. But two, it's her gift to the community, and it's her thank you, and it's a free pattern. What? Okay. Without further ado, here it is. What do you think? Is it not stunning? Just like this beautiful and sweet, wonderful woman. My goodness. So yes, I would like to cast this on right now, but I'm not going to do it. But, there's a but, a little but. I confess that I dyed a few yarns that might go for this. Not green, but decay, and I was thinking, what colors do I not have as shawls? And so I went for the pinks. It's all about the pinks these days, seriously. So I have pink, and possibly if I get completely crazy, I will start knitting on this while I'm on the retreat. Okay. So one more thing that I wanted to show you before I get to new stash is something that I have crafted that I really need to share with you. In the past weeks, I have used small circular needles a lot, and I was storing them in a tin box, a vintage round tin box, and it worked very well. But if you need to find something over and over again, or different sizes, and then every time you need to try which size is this, because they're not always marked, it drives you crazy. Plus my friend Melody had kind of put me on track too, because she's trying to figure out a good storage for circular needles, and I am done with that. I have a beautiful needle case by Offhand Designs, which I was lucky enough to win in a giveaway. But this one is, here's something that I have made, and I have bought, I had 5x7 refill for a photo album. And then I went, because I tried it on those refill pages first, and then I bought this. People, barely $3 with a coupon, I think at Hobby Lobby I found this. And it's the refillable ones where you can add extra pages. Now let me tell you what I did. So this is definitely now for my small circular needles. Okay, let's see. All the small sizes that I use, more than the really big ones that I used in the past weeks, which are easy to find, I must say. So what I did was, the paper that came with these, I marked that first. And I did not want to use the back side, and I'm going to tell you why. You may already see what I did. Originally, the photo that belongs in here, 5x7, like I said, goes in from the top. But I knew I wouldn't want that because it would come out, the needles would come out too easily. So after I did my writing on my sheet of paper, I cut a new opening here, and then with a large setting on my sewing machine, I stitched along the upper edge. That's all I did. A bunch of times for all of these pages, and I have a beautiful storage book for my small circulars. Absolutely inexpensive, fun project. You could even use fun paper. If you're PAPERDAG, you should have, because you have a lot of beautiful paper, but you don't because you want to get this finished. Whatever, it's fine, right? Okay, so more stash, new stash. I got fiber. I just had, if I knew I was going to have to order some yumminess from Tina Elfenwolle. Isn't this gorgeous? So earthy. And then those hints of red and purple and the corn red, yellow, I mean. And she put in a cute little sample of a fiber that I'm really curious to try out because it has linen. And I was always wondering how that would be to spin. So excited about this. But man, I got a super, super gorgeous skein of yarn from my friend Shoba who is on Instagram, and I've known her for a long time, even before she started dyeing. And check out this beauty. This is one of her colorways that I dare say sell out instantly. I mean, I should do that. Came with a beautiful mini coordinating too. Thank you. And she is Serendipitous Wool Company, and the colorway is Flight of the Unicorn. Fantastic. Shoba, this is absolutely fantastic. I love it. I do not have anything planned with it, but I'm sure the right project will come. So this is it. I have yarn to tag. In the meantime, I want to thank you all for comments. Thank you for leaving me a comment on YouTube, or for saying hey, hi to me on Ravelry. If you are up for it, please come to the ZiaWoolz group on Ravelry. Join the group. We're always having some fun there. Like right now, there's the 2+ shawl cal, where you can enter a finished object. I haven't determined what the price is, but there will be a price. It ends end of March. It's a 2 or more color shawl knit-along. And I'm hosting it with a German podcasting friend. So please join us. And also, Amy and Debbie, my friends, the Periscoping Sisters, they will come out with their mystery knit-along for Mother's Day very soon. Dear to my heart. Well, these two anyways, but also the theme of this knit along is just so wonderful. So I'm looking forward to that. And if I already got a sneak peek, so I know that the pattern has more than one color in it. So the shawl will have, and so you could even enter it in the knit along that they are hosting in the Periscoping Sisters group, as well as in the ZiaWoolz group. So thank you so much for watching, and I am looking forward to hanging out with you again in about 2 weeks. Bye and happy knitting.